So you're going to do a 3 pump, you pull up to your red light, hands on the steering wheel, and it would look like this. 1, 2, 3. And on 3, you're going to hold it forward rather than back, okay? And then 30 minutes later, you do a 3 pump. 30 minutes later, you do another 3 pump. 30 minutes later, throughout the day, all day long. Same thing on an airplane. Same thing in your desk chair at work. Doesn't matter where you're sitting, same rule applies. 3 pump can be done throughout the day. I have seen better results teaching people to do this simple maneuver, this 3 pump, than anything else out there. You can do toe touches, it's going to make it worse. If you have a herniated disc and you go do yoga, odds are it's going to make it worse, unless you're being very protective of this area. If you're lifting weights, I tell you some great stories. A lot of fallacies out there about the lower back. There is one idea out there that if you just strengthen the muscles of your lower back and strengthen your core, that all your lower back problems will go away. Well, I'm going to give you an example of something that happened one time. I had a bodybuilder who worked at Gold's Gym. This guy, he was the ultimate specimen. He had biceps that were like this. He had trunk muscles that were like this. And so he had the ultimate core strength. And yet he came into my office and he walks in and his back is like, he can barely move because he's hurt his back. So I give him my standard lecture. We did traction. We got him stable. I taught him what was going on. But then there was another guy at the same gym that came in. And same kind of problem, very weak, borderline herniated disc. And I thought, what's going on over there? I go in to watch what these guys are doing. They were doing an exercise where it's a Roman chair, where it's the one where you lean forward and it catches you here and here and you hang out in midair and it pumps you, your legs are back here, and it pumps you like this. What they were doing is holding a heavy plate and had a guy pushing down on them, so their spine was hanging out in midair like this. And they were building beautiful muscle mass. They were pumping this as if this was a flexor group. This is not a flexor muscle group, okay? These are called the erector spinae. They're really designed to hold us upright and erect, not to crane out in midair. So what they were doing is they were building beautiful core muscle bulk at the expense of the true core. Now the true core is the spine, the ligament capsules on the facet joints, and the discs and the disc integrity. That's the true core. The muscles take their cues from that area. You have nerve sensors embedded in the ligament capsules, all kinds of nerves, sensory nerves embedded all through here. If there's distortion or irritation, that can cause those muscles to tighten up. So most of the muscle tension in the lower back, or most of the hamstring tension or quadricep tension, is the result of our problem, not the cause. A lot of times people have these tight hamstrings and they say, oh my goodness, tight hamstring, bad muscle, tight muscle. So what do? They start stretching and stretching and stretching because they think that the hamstring tightness is their culprit. The hamstring tightness is not the culprit. It is the reaction and your body's attempt to compensate to a crisis going on in your lumbar spine. Understand the source. This is a domino effect. If you're chasing rabbits all the time and you're going down to the extremities and you limit everything, boy, I hate that tight muscle. You're only thinking about one piece to the puzzle. There are multiple dominoes that are falling. Focus on the primary domino, which when it comes to this kind of thing, it's here in the lumbar area. Focus on that domino. So, these guys were ripping their spine apart. They were addressing the core at the expense of the spine. They were building muscle mass, but ignoring the deeper structures that are involved in here that tends to tear. And so once I realized what they were doing, I told them, listen guys, it's okay to do, especially when you're in good shape like that, it's okay to do some of those, but don't pump extensor muscles as if they're flexor muscles. You're going to tear something. Don't break the rules, and especially don't over-break the rules. Don't do it extensively. So they were giving themselves torn, weak spines, but they had beautiful muscle mass. So my point being, core strength is not the cure-all to lumbar problems. Lumbar spine can be very complex. There are a lot of different parts, a lot of structural parts, and a lot of mechanical parts involved. So if you practice these simple rules, you can be like me. Now, I am about to turn 50, and I've never felt better. I am careful about what I do. I put foods into my body that have a cooling effect on my joints and a lubricating effect on my joints. I avoid or minimize, I can't completely avoid, I avoid foods that have a inflammatory or toxic effect on my system. I have sheets of information and handouts I can give you about foods that inflame and foods that cool or lubricate. Be sure and get those. Go to our website. You'll see a link that takes you to, one of the links it talks about, is your body hyper prone to inflammation and pain? And there's another video and a link that you'll see that is titled Foods That Have a Cooling Effect on Your Body. So learn about those. Avoid the things that break the spine down and maximize the things that build the spine and help lubrication and help fight inflammation. So I have a whole separate video on nutrition and information like that, but I want to include that into this lumbar spine presentation. So, avoid forward bending, do the 3-pump, do the lumbar bridge. Now there are a lot of other things I would give you when you come into my office that I'll teach you and tell you to do, but as a rule, keep in mind, stretching per se often is way overdone. It's safer to activate muscles rather than stretching muscles. So remember, doing a little hamstring stretch, you could call this a stretch if you want. It's more of like a maneuver or an exercise. It's kind of a lunge. You'll notice I'm not going very far, I'm just activating the muscle. Then you can do the side to side like this, so that you go down enough to activate the muscles on the medial and lateral compartments. But you notice I'm not doing the splits. That's overboard. That's going way overboard. So the 3-pump can be done in your car, at your computer desk. It can be done anytime you're in a seated position. That means it can be done all day long. That's what works best. If you can protect the back, don't injure it in the first place. Use the maneuvers throughout your day. About every 30 minutes, try to do that 3-pump. Remember the 3-pump, when you pump back and forth, 1, 2, 3, then you hold it forward rather than back. This is not good, this is good. Now notice I'm not leaning way back. That's going way too far. We're isolating from here to here. So if I put my hands here, it would look like this. And you notice my shoulders go up, but my focus is not my shoulders. They go up automatically. Keep your focus here, or you're going to get distracted. Because I tell people to try this, and they'll go, well, let's see, and they're doing this, and they're moving their shoulders. No, your shoulders are going to kind of go up and down a little bit. Remember, your focus is here. Now, some people have such degenerative thinning or arthritis that it's hard for them to isolate this section, and I understand that. You don't want to force anything. Take it slowly. Do it in small baby steps. Do it in small bites. Don't force anything. And that covers a lot with your lower back. We'll talk more about surgery, herniated discs, and we're going to show you some clips about the micro tears, and we're going to teach you about the lumbar shock absorptive dynamics of your spine as well.